basically there is more to life than just make money.
If you don't know when it is enough, then you may never stop. And for the wrong reasons, you live a life only chasing that. If one person said, well, $100,000 is enough, and the other one says 100 million, and for most people, it's somewhere in between.
That's interesting philosophy. So is there like kind of secret to success as an entrepreneur?
Not everybody is made to be an entrepreneur.
Hello guys, welcome to YanaTV. Today our guest is Cliff Go, a founder of Swan Capital, a business mentor and a social entrepreneur who is on his mission to really making a difference in the world. So Cliff, great to have you here.
You're welcome.
And I know that you work a lot with people who are very, very, very successful. Mm-hmm. So what I would like to ask you, if you look at all your clients that you have had over the years, are there a common traits, either in their personality or mindset or just the way they are as people, that actually help them to become successful?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, you see people who have success. Usually they have focus. Mm-hmm. Yeah? They have a skill, they have a talent, which they have discovered over the years. They say, hey, I'm good in something, let me expand on it. So they're very focused on what they do well, and they leave the things that they don't do well to others. Mm-hmm. So that's the skill. I think you have to be able to identify in your own self, what are you good at? And if you know that and realize that, and you may have to be humble about it as well, because some people believe that they're good in something, but they may not. And that is maybe also the process. You have a process of success and failure. And as and when you understand your successes, you focus more and more on that. I've seen that happen. So if you ask me, I think that's one of them.
And how do they deal with difficult times? Like with setbacks?
They rebound. Yeah, they reinvent themselves. They sometimes happens for whatever reasons. So they say, okay, this happens. This doesn't bring me down, but I have to reinvent myself. I have to redirect. I have to find out something, how I can find ways to find new successes. So you have to be resilient. You have to be strong. You have to be hungry. And yeah, you have to have endurance. I mean, it doesn't happen overnight. You have to be patient. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what about maybe, let's say, their relationship with other people, like the way they interact, with others, and like whether it is about just like how they treat people or how they form partnership or networking, like anything about interpersonal communication. Yeah. What would be the traits? How are they?
Well, as wealth manager, you have also your own style. So I think that people who have achieved some level of success may not always have the same mold. Mm-hmm. And I think over the years, I have attracted maybe also a certain kind of people. I may not be able to always add value to wealthy people because they are just having a completely different mindset. But for those people that I have over the years got to know, I think when they are interacting with people, they have a true interest. I think they have also a certain level of what I call vulnerability. They make themselves vulnerable because they want to know more about themselves and from others. So you have to make yourself a little bit, in that sense, open up and not always know better, because whenever they know something from their employees, from their people around them, even from family members, if you absorb that well, yes, then you absorb that and make use of that knowledge to improve yourself. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's very often what I see happen.
And if I ask a question about you, because I know that you have been a little bit on the journey yourself through all those years when you started more, like I would say maybe more like of a traditional probably career, right, in the wealth management and financial industry. And then over the years, you discovered for yourself that there are other things you want to do, and almost like you discovered a deeper meaning of life for yourself. Yes. And I know that your career changed and the course of your life changed, and now you're going more to fulfill your own dreams.
Yes.
So tell me a bit more about this journey. So what facilitated this change, and how did you realize that basically there is more to life than just make money?
Well, one of the questions that we ask as a wealth manager when it comes to financials is, what is enough, right? I mean, how much do you really need financially to make create a happy and fulfilling life? Because if you don't know when it is enough, then you may never stop. And for the wrong reasons, you live a life only chasing that. So if you come to the question and you can answer that to yourself, and for any individual that's different, and I have no problem if anyone has a different target. If one person said, well, $100,000 is enough, and the other says 100 million, and for most people it's somewhere in between, I have no issues with that. As long as you tell yourself honestly, then that is the truth to you. Okay? So once you know when it's enough, and you come to that level that's more or less enough, what would you do with the remaining time? And that's, you see, where people start to change. And suddenly they say, wow, that's powerful. Now suddenly I can focus or refocus on other things that I thought was never important to me. But when they start spending some more time in those directions, they realize it's absolutely important to them. And that includes also people in the immediate environment, because we may forget about our own family members, about our close friends, our own employees, and things like that. So we have to be open up for others rather than being a bit more self-centered. And I think what I have seen over the years is that that happens to myself as well. That process is very valuable for me to see that I can help other people. Yeah.
And right now, what is your own focus in life? What do you really would like to develop?
Well, the wealth management business is something that I'm passionate about, that allows me to get to know people or to be with people that have these kind of issues on their mind. And it is only very nice to see whether I can help them there. Going forward, the financials will always be an important element, but I would like to create a situation and environment where I can really reach out. I would like to develop platforms, engagements, speaking engagements, combined with people, like-minded people that I can do this together with, to reach out to people that really need us and have a desire to be guided, to be advised, to listen to people who have a level of success. And I don't relate to myself most of the time, but to people who have done it before. Yeah, and that's really what I would like to do. And I'm less worried about the financials, because if you focus on things doing right, things come by itself, and the financials will come as well.
That's interesting philosophy also now, because we know there are so many entrepreneurs these days. You know, entrepreneurship became a very glorified profession. Many people don't know what they're getting into when they decide to become entrepreneurs. Yes. So it's, but at the same time, I know that you work a lot with people who are actually willing to become entrepreneurs, and you do a lot of work with students.
Yes.
Right. So if I would ask you to just give some advice maybe to those who are at the beginning of this journey.
Yes.
So either just conceptualizing idea, or maybe recently a few years ago started a company and still trying to make it. Yeah. So there are so many startups these days. Yes. Right. So is there a kind of secret to success as an entrepreneur? What do you need to do, and how do you need to be in order to really make it?
Yeah. Well, first of all, my expertise is, and my experience is, that not everybody is made to be an entrepreneur.
And it's good to realize it.
It's good to realize that. Some people have it, and some people really have it less. What is as important is that if you have an idea, a business plan, something that you said, wow, this is something that the world will need, let me create that. People have sometimes too much expectations of their brilliance in that sense. If you have a brilliant idea, but maybe you don't have a good team or people who can support that idea, it may not happen. You may have maybe more focus on who you like to do that together with. So if you have a good team and maybe a so-so idea, it may still become successful. I think, so what is important for an entrepreneur? To surround himself with the right people and spend enough time to understand who these people should be. Because all too often they say they meet each other on an occasion or casually, and they have an idea that they speak over a coffee, and suddenly becomes a business plan, and they become 50-50 business partners. And within 1, 2, 3 years, it becomes an issue because one feels better than the other. So my advice to many entrepreneurs is, as much as the idea could be very good, spend as much time, if not more, to engage yourself with a person that adds value to your partnership or your idea. And that's very important.
And if we speak about the mindset, because you mentioned that some people are entrepreneurs and some are lesser, right, entrepreneurs. So are there any characteristics, like if I can look at myself and say, okay, so am I an entrepreneur or not? How do I know without trying and failing, right? So,
well, one of the things, the perception of risk. I think entrepreneurs are naturally a bit more risk takers. And for that, they can also have a bit more endurance by having maybe to live in circumstances that are not as comfortable as somebody who has a job with a paycheck. If you don't have a fixed paycheck and you're an entrepreneur and you don't always know where the money comes from, that may be for a lot of people an uncomfortable situation. And if it's extremely uncomfortable for you, don't become an entrepreneur, because good entrepreneurs go through that process And they will fail a few times. Actually, most entrepreneurs that have become successful go through situations of failure first. And that's not for everybody to handle. Yeah, this is an environment that is not for people who do not like that kind of risk, who don't like to have that kind of exposure. And if you know that for yourself, then maybe you don't really focus on becoming an entrepreneur.
So basically you have to be comfortable with risk and with failing, because we know that you can't really succeed without failing. Okay, I understand. For you, what would you like your legacy to be in life?
Well, already have from time to time, be it my students, be it my clients, be it people around me that I sick with, the time that I've got to know you and the advice that you gave me made a difference for me. You have made a difference in my life. You have made a difference in my career. Life has really been changing ever since. Well, that is for me. If I can leave something that other people have used from my expertise and brought them to a level of more success, more happiness, more fulfilling, that would be my thing to do. So if you ask about my legacy, I would like to be remembered as a person that have been able to make that difference.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Cliff.
You're welcome.
And that was Cliff Go from Swan Capital with us today, sharing about the entrepreneurial journey and how you could become a better entrepreneur. And the most important is how you can make a bigger difference in the world. So go out there, play bigger, share this video with friends, and we're going to talk with you next week.
If you don't believe that your country is going to be better tomorrow than it is today, you have lost hope. And if you don't have hope, you don't have vision, you don't have dreams, the future will not improve.